Hey Sarah, how you doing? All right, so thank you for submitting your work here. Um, let's go ahead and jump over to your presentation. I've got your presentation up in a separate window, so all I need to do is open this up and then just kind of fit it in the window, and I think that will work. Okay, so there are a few missing requirements, and I'm going to go through a couple of different areas in the class, but the first place I want to bring you is this page right here, Week 5 Final Project Part 1 Nobel Prize Poster Research and Thumbnails, First Iteration. And in this page, if you scroll down, you'll see what we have here as a set of instructions pertaining to the poster itself. And then milestones, so week 5 deliverables are listed right here. Okay, so what we want to do is go through your presentation, and I just kind of want to point out what's missing so that you can go ahead and resubmit Sunday with all the required components in place. So let's go ahead and jump over to your presentation. So we've got your you're defining your laureate choice. That's great. And then you've got your bio information here, and that's great too. Now, one thing I want to, oh, and you've also included the image. That's fantastic. And I'll talk about this in 1 second. But there's a lot of bio information here. I just want to put this out there that if you find yourself with too much information, just feel free. You can edit this as needed. So you don't feel like you have to include all of this information. It seems rather long. But again, if you want to include it all, that's up to you. But I just want to mention that you are able to edit this to supply yourself with an expeditious selection of type for which to place within your poster. So what we have here is we've got the type, I'm sorry, we've got the bio information, and then you've got the bio picture, and that's great. But if we jump over here, and I'm going to jump down over here to the milestones, specifically referring to week 5, Nobel Prize poster parts 1, research your laureate and provide their name, which you did. Provide the biography paragraphs, which you did. Provide the photo, which you did. Okay, this is what you haven't supplied, so this is what you'll need to supply us with for Sunday's submission is the dates and events of your timeline, okay? And then several thumbnail sketches of various layouts for the front and the back. When it says several, I would say a minimum of 3 would be a good target there. Several could be interpreted in different ways, but it definitely doesn't mean just 2. And so feel free, as long as it's more than 2, you're fine. If you want to include more than 3, that's great. Okay, so that is where we're at in terms of what exactly is required here. All right, so if we jump back over to the presentation itself, and I'm going to be referring to this, be sure that you go through this list of instructions here because this is really important, okay? On the front of the poster is the laureate's name and then also some sort of a tagline. Okay, so number 1 and number 4 here are grouped, should be grouped together. So, and don't forget the announcement of the name should be treated in some sort of typographic design, which you have depicted here. And again, I'll talk about that in 1 second. So let me see here. Okay, so all right. So what we want to do from here is take a look at what we need to do for Sunday submission. So you need to include your sketches front and back. Now I want you to keep in mind on the front of the poster, you're required to use the laureate's name as well as a subhead or a tagline. Okay, bio information is on the back of the poster. The timeline is on the back of the poster. Two-sided poster, 11 by 17 or 17 by 11, and one photographic image of the laureate that appears in the back of the poster. Now, one thing I want to mention, and this is really important, is that the depictions of your sketches should show intent to a very high degree. Okay, so I'm going to just go through a couple of areas in the class and I want to draw your attention to, and I want you to think about how you can apply all of, unfortunately, I don't have any sketches to look at, so I can't really see your concept development right now, right? So let's just jump over here. Now, this page right here is week 5 presentation. And we want to take a look at this, read through this. It's a great presentation. And definitely come down here. This is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, okay? These are techniques to create this kind of wonderful visual correspondence where you're drawing a meaning based on typography and these different techniques that you can employ in the presentation of your typography to create additional meaning above and beyond merely presenting the laureate's name. Okay, so as we can see, this is a great technique here. And when you go through this presentation, be sure to click the I button right up there in the corner, and that'll bring down and give you descriptions of all the examples. I think it's probably reasonable to say that you would take a look at the example, come over here, read about the example, go back, take a look at the example again, let it sink in, then move on to the next example and do the same thing. Once you really understand what's going on, and this can all be grouped under one term, visual correspondence. I think a lot of these kind of cross boundaries, and some would be considered to be so visual transformation and visual substitution are pretty similar. So I just use the term visual correspondence to include all of these techniques here. But you, at the very least, want to make yourself completely familiar with these techniques here so you can employ them in your poster. Now, the next area I want to bring you to is the course announcements. Now, in the course announcements, we also have some other really wonderful examples of this visual correspondence that we've been talking about, right? And I want you to study these and really note the communication that is being presented here. Note the message-making technique, and really understand this is all done purely typographically. That's what we're after. So, continue through the announcement. Here's some really good resources. You should take a look at those. At the bottom of the announcement, I want you to draw your attention to these examples, which are very highly successful examples of the project. So what I want to do at this point is just kind of go through each one of these quickly. And describe what's happening. So, and I'm going to be referring to these techniques as visual correspondence, okay? So we've got this kind of visual correspondence going here, this substitution right here, where we have this illustration replacing the O. Now note, and based on this requirement right here, the first requirement, announce who the person is through some sort of typographic design of their name. This is a typographic solution. Even though that is a illustration, it's replacing the O in toning, so that is now a typographic solution. This wouldn't work if you had just this illustration up here. This was just set with a regular O in this typeface and then had this illustration up here. It wouldn't work, right? It wouldn't work because that wouldn't be a typographic solution. Then note that you've got this substitution creates meaning, okay? And we take that meaning and we take the visual attributes and we continue that through the back of the page and create the timeline based on what we see on the front of the page. Very, very effective technique. This example is a little bit different in that it creates a pattern in the typography. So yes, this is a typographic solution, right? So we're creating meaning right here, although the meaning isn't yet understood because we haven't looked at the back of the poster. When we move to the back of the poster, the viewer immediately makes this connection between the front and the back by looking at this pattern and saying, hey, that's the pattern that was on the front. Okay, then as we look a little bit deeper into the composition, we say, hey, wait a second, that pattern is from the garments, the outfit, the clothing that she is wearing. Okay, so that kind of and by the way, she was known for this kind of traditional Pakistani clothing. So that draws together, it pulls meaning from the image. It creates meaning typographically. It pulls the concept and image together, packs them tightly together into a wonderful presentation. Final example is this Martin Luther King, this visual substitution right here. What we're having here is, what we have right here is this E right here is replaced with an equal sign, indicating Martin Luther King's very, very close ties with equality, okay? And it plays the role of the E flawlessly, right? Then the designer elected to take that concept, move it to the back of the poster, and create the timeline based on that, right? So really, really super interesting techniques here. What I would like you to do is think about how you can employ these techniques from the sign symbols and semiotics presentation, as well as the announcements examples, and really think about how you can draw meaning. And that's what this assignment's all about. It's about creating meaning typographically based on clues from the imagery and the concept of the subject matter. Okay, so at this point, again, in summary, what's missing? You're missing the bio. Well, you've got your bio paragraphs and you got your image. Okay, we also have the timeline information. Okay, and then the subhead or the tagline for the front. And then I think that's it. So you have bio information on the back, the name on the front, typographically treated, the timelines on the back, the subheader tagline needs to go on the front. Photographic imagery may use only on the back, and that's only the bio image. And then it's got to be either 11 by 17 or 17 by 11. Okay, so you want to submit, of course, your you've got the laureate name, you've got the biography paragraph, but in the photo, but we need the dates and events of your timeline, and then your thumbnail sketches. Thumbnail sketches are very important, and that's why you'll employ the techniques that I have covered in this video. Okay, that's all I have. Sorry, I didn't mean to take so long, but I wanted to be as thorough as possible so that you can get this submitted correctly on Sunday. And then we can move forward and really start developing the project, right? So at this point, please, any questions at all or any clarifications, please let me know as soon as you can so that we can expeditiously continue moving forward, building our concept, developing our methodology, planning out the visual attributes, and creating meaning through message making. Okay, questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.